And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. Thank you for staying up late with us. We have some great topics and some issues you will be talking about tomorrow. Now, according to new law here in Texas, chaplains are allowed to work on school campuses as school counselors. The Katy Independent School District is now considering taking advantage of that. The law requires all districts statewide to vote on the chaplain policy by March. But there's some pushback against this. Monday, multiple parents are asked trustees to vote against using chaplains on campus. Joining us to talk about it, Eduardo Lopez de Casas of Houston SNAP and therapist Dr. Angela Jones. Glad to have you both here. Eduardo, why would you be against this when it comes to having chaplains on campus?
There are two things that set warning flags for me, two words. One is chaplain, the other one is unlicensed. As we know, chaplains are religious clergymen. They can be Catholic, they can be Baptist. For many years, I have been advocating for victims that have been abused, representing SNAP, that have been abused by religious clergy. So that just irks me, knowing that religious clergy could be going into Katy Independent School Districts, because we see every week different stories come out of clergy abusing children at their churches and places of worship. So now we're going to have them in the school district. The other thing that sends a warning is unlicensed. Why would any school board approve having people mentoring and working with children that are not qualified and have not been trained? And this Bill 763 does not require any additional training for these people.
And of course, Dr. Angela, I know, is a professional. You draw the line at untrained.
Correct.
That's your concern.
Untrained and unlicensed.
Yeah. So if a what are your thoughts on a clergy going into a classroom as a professional?
Well, right now, I mean, that blurs the line between the church and state and schools, you know. So I think they're now crossing back into that border, and I think we already made it clear that there's a separation there. Then not only are you saying you want clergy to go in, you're saying, well, let's put in some unlicensed people in there to talk to our children. So not only do you want unlicensed people who are not trained, who don't have the training hours, the practicum, the studies, you want them to talk to our children about whatever it is they're going to talk about. And if this clergy is against LGBTQIA plus communities, or if they don't like certain kind of lifestyles, what are they going to be saying to our children, especially if it's not in line with what we believe in at home? So to have people that are talking to our children untrained, talking about probably risque situations, I just think that it's just mindless. It's just senseless to me when you have so many trained professionals in the state of Texas that are licensed that want to talk to our children. Like, I don't understand that.
And Eduardo, do you see this as politics here in Texas, being a very conservative state, wanting to put religious figures or individuals from the church in the schools instead of maybe someone who may be a professional counselor there who would look at it, you know, straight down the line instead of from a religious aspect?
Yes, I say it definitely is somewhat political, but I look at it in a different way. I look at it in a way that hopefully this is a wake-up call for all parents and all citizens, that when the legislative session is going on, we need to be aware of what bills are being approved of. Because this bill went through the legislative session. Now it is catching all of these parents in Katy by surprise. If people paid more attention to what's going on in our political system, then they would be aware that this was coming up, and they could call their politicians and say, we don't like this, and try to put a stop to it before it becomes a law. I am just praying that Katy rejects this, because again, as she was saying, many parents are upset about the separation between church and state, and if the Katy Independent School District approves this, basically what they are approving is making religion mandatory for every student.
And Dr. Jones, for those who say that the clergy, the chaplain works well with law enforcement, they work well in jails, they work well in prisons, you would say what to that?
Even the chaplains that go into prison go through certain trainings, certifications to be able to work with that population. So to say that we're going to put them with our minors, our children, without any of those things, but we do it for the people in prison, we do it for people in jail, it just seems kind of mindless.
Apples to oranges there.
Right, yeah, you're right. And so the thing is that if you want to expand the community, the students to have the opportunity to talk to a religious figure, maybe you can have a referral list like, hey, these are people from different religious sects that we can refer your family to, and if you want to send your child there, then you can, and that puts the power back into the family. But to have them into the school, I'm not sure that's really a great idea.
All right, we want to thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We appreciate your expertise.